My name is Natalie Reed. And for almost my entire life, my family called me the ugly one. Flushed heartbreak. Not as a joke. Not once or twice. Constantly. At birthdays. At family dinners. Even in front of strangers. While my younger sister Emily was called the beautiful daughter, I became the girl people ignored politely. My mother used to smile and say, "At least Natalie has a good personality." I laughed along for years pretending it didn't hurt. But deep down, every single word destroyed me slowly. Then during our massive family reunion last summer, a complete stranger walked into the room, looked directly at me, and asked one simple question. Why does nobody here realize she looks exactly like her grandmother? And within minutes, a secret buried for 27 years changed my entire life forever. My name is Natalie Reed. I grew up in Savannah, Georgia with my parents and younger sister Emily. From childhood, beauty became the center of everything inside our house. Especially for my mother. Mom obsessed over appearances constantly. Perfect makeup, perfect clothes, perfect family photos. And unfortunately for me, I didn't look like the rest of them. Emily inherited Mom's blonde hair and bright blue eyes. Meanwhile I had darker curls, olive skin, and sharper facial features. Different. That single word shaped my entire childhood. Relatives constantly compared us. Emily is gorgeous. Then silence. Sometimes people awkwardly added, "Natalie looks unique." Children remember those pauses, even if adults think they don't. By middle school, classmates already destroyed my confidence daily. Crooked smile, curly hair, thick eyebrows. And instead of protecting me, my family reinforced the insecurity. One Thanksgiving, I still remember overhearing my aunt whisper, "Poor Natalie got none of the good genes." Everyone laughed softly, including my mother. That moment never left me. Eventually I became the funny girl because funny girls don't need to be beautiful. At least that's what I convinced myself. I developed humor, intelligence, kindness. Anything to compensate for not looking like Emily. Meanwhile Emily became the family princess naturally. Modeling opportunities, compliments, attention everywhere. And honestly, I never hated my sister. I hated how invisible comparison made me feel. By 27, I worked as a librarian and lived quietly alone with my rescue dog Charlie. My life wasn't glamorous, but it was peaceful. Still, family gatherings remained emotionally exhausting. Every reunion became another reminder that beauty determined value inside my family. Then came Grandma Evelyn's 80th birthday reunion. Relatives flew in from across the country. Huge rented ballroom, professional photographers, fancy dinner, and of course, Mom immediately obsessed over appearances again. The week before the reunion she actually looked at me and sighed. "Maybe wear more makeup this time." I laughed weakly pretending the comment didn't hurt. But later that night, I cried alone in my bathroom. Because eventually even strong people grow tired of feeling unwanted. The reunion itself started exactly how I expected. Emily entered wearing an elegant silver dress and instantly became the center of attention. Everyone complimented her endlessly. Meanwhile I helped organize food tables quietly in the background. Classic Natalie behavior. At one point I overheard two distant cousins whispering near the drinks table. "Which one is Emily? The pretty one?" That sentence shouldn't have hurt anymore. But somehow, it still did. So around sunset I escaped outside onto the ballroom terrace needing air. That's where everything changed. An older man stood near the garden quietly smoking a cigar. I didn't recognize him initially. When I walked past politely, he suddenly stared at me intensely. Not rudely, shockingly. Then he whispered, "Good Lord." I immediately felt uncomfortable. "Sorry." The man kept staring almost emotionally. Then he asked softly, "What's your name?" "Natalie." His expression changed instantly, almost like hearing that name confirmed something. Then he smiled sadly. "Evelyn named you herself, didn't she?" My stomach tightened. "Yes." The stranger slowly nodded. Then he said words that changed my life forever. "Because you look exactly like her mother." I froze completely. "What?" He pointed toward an old framed family photo displayed through the ballroom window. A black and white portrait of my great-grandmother Isabella. I had seen the photo my whole life, but never really looked carefully. Now suddenly, I saw it. The same curls, the same eyes, The same smile. My breathing became shaky. The stranger introduced himself as Arthur Bennett, my grandmother's cousin who moved overseas decades earlier. Apparently he hadn't attended family events in years. Arthur stared at me almost emotionally. You inherited Isabella's face completely. For several seconds I couldn't speak. Because nobody in my entire life ever described my appearance beautifully before. Ever. Then Arthur quietly added, she was considered the most beautiful woman in Savannah in the 1950s. I actually laughed awkwardly thinking he was joking. But he wasn't. He looked genuinely confused. Does nobody in your family tell you this? Before I could answer, Grandma Evelyn suddenly appeared behind us holding tears in her eyes. Real tears. She looked at me trembling slightly. Then whispered, I always wondered when someone else would finally notice. That sentence hit me harder than anything. Because suddenly, years of insecurity cracked open all at once. Inside the ballroom, Arthur started showing relatives old photographs from decades earlier. And one by one, people became stunned. Because I truly did look identical to Isabella. Not similar, identical. Meanwhile Emily looked beautiful in a modern glamorous way. But I carried features directly tied to our family history. For the first time in my life, people stared at me differently. Not with pity, with admiration. Then Grandma gathered everyone quietly and shared something painful. Apparently after Isabella died young, her unique features slowly disappeared through later generations. Until me, Grandma always saw the resemblance. But my mother hated being compared to Isabella growing up because she never inherited those famous features herself. So unconsciously, Mom projected that resentment onto me my entire childhood. That revelation shattered me emotionally. Not because it excused anything. Because suddenly I realized my ugliness was never objective reality. It was inherited jealousy and family insecurity disguised as criticism. I looked toward my mother across the ballroom. She couldn't even meet my eyes. And honestly, that hurt more than the insults themselves. Because parents shape how children see themselves. And mine allowed me believing I was ugly for 27 years. Later that evening Grandma pulled me aside privately. Then she handed me a small velvet jewelry box. Inside sat Isabella's antique emerald necklace. The family heirloom traditionally passed to the woman who carried Isabella's spirit. Grandma smiled softly. That was always you, Natalie. I burst into tears immediately. Not because of the necklace. Because for the first time, I felt seen. Really seen. That night changed my entire relationship with myself. Not magically. I didn't suddenly wake up completely confident. Years of emotional damage don't disappear overnight. But slowly, I stopped apologizing for my appearance. Stopped hiding in photographs. Stopped shrinking beside prettier people. Most importantly, I stopped measuring beauty through my family's cruel standards. A few months later my mother unexpectedly visited my apartment alone. She looked nervous, almost ashamed. Then quietly she admitted something heartbreaking. Growing up, she spent years feeling invisible beside stories about Isabella's legendary beauty. So when I inherited those same features, it triggered old insecurities she never healed properly. Again, it explained things. But explanation is not excuse. I told her honestly, you made me hate myself. Mom cried immediately. And for once, I didn't comfort her. Because healing sometimes requires letting people sit with the consequences of their actions. Today I'm 30 years old. I still work at the same library. Still live with Charlie. But emotionally, I'm a completely different woman. Not because a stranger called me beautiful. Because I finally understood something life-changing. People who attack your appearance often reveal more about their insecurities than your actual worth. And sometimes, the ugliest thing in a family isn't someone's face. It's how they make another person feel about themselves. Words spoken repeatedly during childhood become mirrors children carry for years. Families should build confidence, not destroy it through comparison and favoritism. Beauty is deeply subjective, emotional, and connected to self-worth. And sometimes the people criticizing you most harshly are secretly projecting wounds they never healed themselves. Never let someone else define your value. If this story touched your heart, thumbs up, like this video. Bell, subscribe for more emotional stories. Speech balloon, comment below. Have you ever spent years believing something negative about yourself because of your family? Flushed heartbreak.